Hello, God of Gold here. I am a Hearts of Iron 4 modder. I'm on Discord, own a server, but my main focus here is to help you to mod, for those who want to learn. Now, in my last video, for those who haven't seen it yet, which I should feature somewhere in the links or something, we talked about idea making and we did a little basic piece of localization. Now, today, we'll do probably localization again, but this time I'm going to do something else. It's called events. Event modding. What do these do? Well, they're events. What else can I say? They basically happen and cause other stuff based on their triggers. So, like, for example, it's in this type of format. Some may be different than others. Some look very stretched, like this one. Don't worry about this. I'm just showing you. It may look complex at first, but as you may study this further, as you continue to learn about this, it should become a little more clear. So let's say we go over here. This is the true testament of what we do for event modding. All we have to do is, let's say you want to create a new event. See, it says Britannia. You can add in any ID you want, which is right here. .1, that's the ID, but sometimes it has a letter next to it, whether if it's, I don't know, an option, description, or even title. It also has images. The GFX underscore report event Japanese transport soldiers area, that's the picture. That involves interface. If you want to learn more on that, I highly recommend you go to the previous video to learn that part. Or you can look it up at your own leisure. I don't care. But I'm only here to help you guys. So anyways, let's get back to the topic. Now, as you know, these are the IDs, the titles, descriptions, options, whatnot. But you have to understand triggers too. What are triggers? Well, they are basically kind of like the ideas. You need something done first. You need to have an amount of something. You need something to be fired in order for this to happen. For example, if I made a chained event, it would fire like right down here on the second option where it says right here yield. Country event. Basically, that causes Japan to get another event. Hence, it's a chain event, which that can be handy in terms of making other mods that involve in complex situations, like elections or something. But the main focus here, I'm just giving you a demonstration. So, say if you want to add your own GFX picture, right? So all you have to do, I don't know, type your own name in, whatever it says. Now, again, if you want to understand more about GFX underscore, right before this in the picture section, you have to go to the last video because it describes it there. The triggers basically allow the event to be fired on certain circumstances. For example, fire only once, that only makes it fire once, so that it doesn't keep repeating, because I've seen issues in event modding like that. Is triggered only? Okay, this part is tricky. The only way this would be fired, if it was put to yes, that means you could only launch it through cheat codes or the console, using the tilde key right next to 1. Don't do that if you are looking for an event to be added into your mod itself. Say no on this one. Because if you do no, you can not only do the consoles, yes, you can, either one, but yes, strictly does the console. This one allows it to fire if the triggers are true. Now, let me explain triggers. So, these are the triggers right here. If I copy this and, I don't know, paste it where this is, right? That means, say this event will only fire if you have like this DLC and you have to play as this country. But let's just make it simple, put it as that. You know? or you can just do whatever, you know. There's a bunch of tags you can use for the countries. If you want more country tags, again, you'll have to look that up. It's a completely different topic. I might explain that in another video too. But for my purpose in this video, event modding. That's it. Maybe a little localization too to help you along. But again, some parts you have to look up on your own. That's how I basically learned how to mod, you know? I'm just giving you guidance. I'm not being like a full-on mentor, even though that may sound weird, but still. Anyways, factors, AI chance. Now, these are the chances of how often an AI will do something. Like, for example, there's a 50-50 shot an AI could do one of each of these options. Now, you can add political power. You can revoke it. Like, you can take some off. You can do stability. You can do effects. You can do hidden effects, which can be really cool because you don't see them, but they happen. But do it wrong, then it could mess up the situation of the game. So what you do is, when you make a good event, say I decide to make another modifier for this, right? You want to say, okay, I don't want political power here. I want something else. You can do legitimacy. You can do operative slot. You can do political power. You could do fuel. There's a whole list of them right here, and I think I linked that in my last video too, so I highly recommend you go there. That's also very helpful. Now, stability factor, yes, you can add stability if you want, you know. Now, up here where it says push back, don't worry about this. This should not affect the main coding because it has a number symbol on it. What that does is it cancels out anything else that might conflict with it. So it's almost like a barrier, a text barrier, if that makes sense. You don't want something to overlap something else. You want to keep it in its lane, you know? That's what it's designed to do. So you could put options such as, I don't know, stabilize or something. What? Yeah, you could put that, or you could put, I don't know, hi, if you want. Really, you could put literally anything, and excuse me if I typoed, but basically, I'm just giving you an example. You can put any text in one of these options as you want, as long as there is this number symbol, which can only be found holding Shift 3. Okay? Alright. Now, you're familiar with a bunch of the setup probably, so what you're going to need to do is, in order to make an event, you have to make sure it fires. Unfortunately, I am in no position to make a demonstration of that right now. However, I would like to make another video showing how this event modding business works. And to ensure it works, you know, because I don't want to have to... Like, sometimes I should also warn, the events, depending on if they're glitched or not, it's not likely to happen, but some events could crash, which it has happened in the past, but that was a long time ago when Hoi4 started to get released. But don't worry about that right now. It's very rare for that to happen. It's like 1 in 1,000 for that to happen. Very, very rare. Now, I've seen issues like that, but they can be overcome. So, it's very easy. As you can see, if you look this over, these are the options. This is your ID. This is your title, your description. A, B, those are your options. These are your triggers. Fire only once is triggered only. That's for the command. There's your image. And of course it has to say country event. Now if you want, you could feature something like this above. Like for example, sorry about that. say for example, you do this. You want to feature text. You could just say, I don't know, my event. You can literally type anything. As long as this is here, you can type anything. Because it doesn't intervene with the coding itself. The coding itself is highly separate. It's pretty straightforward in terms of that. Now, if you want to do localization, now this is where things get a little weird. So, for example, let's say you make events, right? In localization, you should always understand that if you are to make new events, oh, I spelled that wrong. What you should do and always do is, I forgot to mention this in my previous video. If I go to a random thing, you see this English up here? You have to put this here. Because if you don't, you will have issues with localization. So I highly recommend... Oh, and also, I forgot to mention, encoding, whenever it's a .yml file, always use UTF-8 bomb. Not anything else. It might have problems. Don't use these. Don't use this. This for YMLs. You don't have to put it for TXT files. Just this. UTF-8 bomb. Once you selected that, you can also convert it to, if that helps. This, separates it from others. The number sign. It's very handy. These are news events. They're very similar to main events, but once you get the hang of regular events, this part should be easy. Because they're relatively the same, just in a different type of form, because it says news on there. Really not that much different. Now, let's say you want to add your very own text. What this does, very simple. I'll show you. Do you remember these? Dots, zero, space, quotation. Yes, we're doing this again. Now, this is important because if you want these events to work, you have to have this appropriately lined up the way you see fit. But it has to go in this format. Title, don't put ID. I tried that before, it doesn't work. You have to put T for the title, D for the description, A for the first option, B for the next option, and so on. Now, I highly recommend keeping the options low, because if you go too high, that could disrupt some of the game. It could take time to load. Or if you want to do it, you can. But just to keep it short and sweet, just do this. 2 options. You can even do 1 option if you want. Or 3 or 4, maybe 5 at the most. I probably would recommend against going above 5, because that's too much. There's no way. Like, even if you did that, it's very hard to keep track of it. And it messes up your work. I tried that before. It's terrible. So, if you want to start off with event modding, stick to a very limited amount to start, okay? So for the title, you could just put, this is my event. That's the title. What could you put for the description? Anything. You could even put the title in there and it still won't make a difference. But let's say you want to do, I am learning how to event mod for Hoi4. Sorry for the interruption. Anyways, you could do basically anything. You could put descriptions here, you could put titles here, you can put them in the same. The description is basically text, like I previously mentioned. That this is just text. Now, if you want to put options, you could put cool, you could put bad, or you could just put it sucks, or something like that. You can put anything you want here, So, it's very, if you want a more clearer description of Localization, you could look it up, or you can go to the previous video, which also describes it. So that's very helpful. So you can put this in localization under events, stuff like that. You know, it's you'll be able to find it if you have the raw game files. You can just go in the mod or the game, sorry, mod or game, whichever you prefer to edit, and then you can just pluck away at it. You know. So events, they're pretty straightforward. Takes a little getting used to. I hope this explained as much as possible. I apologize if I didn't clear up everything. I just hope it's only meant for guidance, you know. Again, like my previous statement, I'm only here to guide you on how to do events, you know. It helps, supposedly. If something is missing, I'm sorry. I could maybe include that for the next video. Or like the demonstration, the picture. Yeah, so I apologize if anything's missing. But basically, it's very straightforward if it's followed correctly in the right format. You know, it's actually not as hard as you think. Really, it's not. It takes some getting used to. Yes, it does, but it's not like grueling. It's not hard. It's not backbreaking. No, this is run-of-the-mill event making. You know. Okay, so I will cut here for now. I hope this helped again, and I'll see you in my next tutorial video.